the quiet role no one talks about. There is a role many people step into without ever deciding to. It does not come with a title or recognition, but it shapes the way others treat you and the way you treat yourself. It is the role of being understanding. You are the person who stays calm when emotions rise. You are the one who listens without interrupting. You try to see things from every angle, even when your own heart feels heavy. People often say they appreciate this about you. They call you mature, emotionally intelligent, and easy to talk to. But what they rarely acknowledge is how much this role quietly takes from you over time. Being understanding often means putting your own reactions on hold so others can feel at ease. It means absorbing tension instead of releasing it. It means translating emotions rather than expressing them. And the longer you stay in this role, the more invisible your own needs become. This is not because you do not have needs. It is because you learned early on that being understanding keeps things stable, and stability can feel safer than honesty. Why being understanding feels like the right thing to do? Most people who are consistently understanding did not become this way by chance. It usually begins in environments where emotions have consequences. Maybe a conflict led to chaos. Maybe expressing feelings led to dismissal. Maybe being calm was the only way to stay emotionally safe, so you adapted. You learned to regulate situations instead of being regulated. You learned to read tone, timing, and energy. You learned to soften yourself before situations became uncomfortable. Psychologically, this creates a strong sense of emotional attunement. You become highly sensitive to others' emotions, moods, and reactions. You can sense shifts before words are spoken. This skill is powerful, but it comes at a cost. When you are always focused outward, you slowly disconnect inward. Your emotional radar becomes tuned to everyone else while your own signals get quieter and quieter. At first, this feels like strength. People trust you. They rely on you. They feel understood around you. But over time, understanding stops being something you do and becomes something you are expected to be. When understanding turns into emotional labor, there is a difference between empathy and emotional labor. Empathy is mutual. Emotional labor is one-sided. When you are always understanding, you often end up managing not just your emotions, but others too. You regulate conversations. You choose words carefully. You absorb tension so others do not have to feel it. This kind of emotional labor is rarely acknowledged. People assume you are fine because you appear calm. They assume you can handle it because you always have. And because you are capable, more emotional weight gets placed on you. Slowly, you become the person everyone unloads on, but no one checks in with. Over time, this creates exhaustion that is hard to explain. You are not physically tired, you are emotionally depleted. And because your exhaustion does not look dramatic, it often goes unnoticed. The silent agreement you never signed. Around understanding people, a silent agreement forms. Others expect patience from you. They expect clarity. They expect emotional regulation. And without realizing it, they stop offering you the same care they receive. You become the emotional anchor. The one who keeps things from falling apart. The one who smooths conflicts instead of confronting them. And because you do this so well, people forget that you are doing it at all. Your understanding becomes a baseline expectation rather than an appreciated effort. Inside, this creates a quiet imbalance. You give more emotional energy than you receive. And because you rarely voice this imbalance, it continues. Why you stop expressing anger. People who are always understanding often struggle with anger. Not because they do not feel it, but because they learned early that anger creates disruption. Anger makes others uncomfortable. Anger forces confrontation. So instead of expressing it, you analyze it, you rationalize it. You explain why the other person acted the way they did. Psychologically, this leads to emotional suppression. Suppressed anger does not disappear, it turns inward. It shows up as self-criticism, fatigue, resentment, or emotional numbness. You may start feeling irritated by small things, but you cannot trace why. This is often unexpressed anger looking for a place to go. The psychology of over-identification with maturity. Being called mature can feel validating. It suggests you are handling things well. But when maturity becomes your identity, it creates pressure. You feel responsible for keeping calm. You feel obligated to respond reasonably, even when you are deeply hurt. This creates an internal rule. My emotions must be controlled to be valid. So when you feel overwhelmed, you question yourself instead of the situation. You wonder if you are being dramatic or expecting too much. Over time, this erodes trust in your own emotional experience. Being understanding in relationships? In relationships, understanding often turns into over-accommodation. You excuse yourself for the behavior, you wait for change. You tolerate patterns that slowly drain you. You tell yourself they are trying, they are stressed, and they did not mean it. But understanding without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. You start adapting to what hurts you instead of addressing it. You become low maintenance at your own expense. And slowly, resentment builds beneath the surface. The cost of always seeing both sides. Seeing both sides is valuable, but constantly doing it can disconnect you from your truth. You minimize your pain because you understand theirs. You delay conversations because you do not want to seem unfair. This creates emotional confusion. You know something feels wrong, but you cannot fully explain it. Understanding should create clarity, not self-doubt. Why people rely on you more than they support you? Because you are understanding, people feel safe opening up to you. But when you need support, others may not know how to respond. They are used to you being the strong one, the listener, the stable presence. This creates a subtle loneliness. You are surrounded by people, but emotionally alone. You give support easily, but receiving it feels unfamiliar. Emotional burnout disguised as calmness. Emotional burnout does not always announce itself with breakdowns, tears, or visible collapse. More often, it hides behind calmness. You still wake up, still show up, and still respond politely. From the outside, you look composed, stable, and even grounded. But internally, something feels off. Your reactions feel muted. Your enthusiasm feels distant. You are present, but not fully alive in the moment. This kind of burnout is especially common in people who are always understanding because they learned how to regulate emotions instead of releasing them. Psychologically, this happens when the nervous system stays in a prolonged state of emotional control. You are constantly monitoring yourself, choosing restraint, choosing composure. Over time, the body interprets this as a need to conserve energy. Emotions begin to flatten, not because you are healed, but because you are depleted. This is not peace. Peace feels light. This feels heavy and quiet at the same time. And because calmness is often praised, this kind of burnout goes unnoticed, even by the person experiencing it. You tell yourself you are fine because nothing is visibly wrong, while internally you are running on empty. When you start feeling guilty for having needs, one of the most painful consequences of always being understanding is the guilt that forms around having needs. You begin to believe that asking for support is inconvenient, that expressing discomfort adds pressure to people who already have enough going on. So you minimize yourself. You say you are okay when you are not. You convince yourself your feelings can wait. This is not selflessness, it is self-erasure. Over time, this guilt creates a distorted belief system. You start associating your needs with burdens. You feel uncomfortable receiving care because you are used to giving it. Psychologically, this disconnects you from your own humanity. Needs are not flaws. They are signals from your nervous system asking for balance. When these signals are ignored repeatedly, the body does not stop sending them. It sends them louder, often through exhaustion, irritability, or emotional numbness. Feeling guilty for needing care does not make you strong. It makes you isolated inside yourself. Learning the difference between empathy and self-sacrifice. Empathy and self-sacrifice often look similar on the surface, especially to people who have spent their lives being understanding. Empathy means feeling with someone while staying connected to yourself. Self-sacrifice means abandoning your own emotional experience to keep the peace. When you are always understanding, the line between the two becomes blurry. You listen deeply, but you stop speaking. You validate others, but you invalidate yourself. Psychologically, self-sacrifice feels safer than conflict because it avoids immediate discomfort. But long-term, it creates internal tension. You begin to feel unseen even when people appreciate you. Healthy empathy does not require silence, it includes boundaries. It allows space for your emotions alongside others. When empathy becomes self-sacrifice, understanding turns into quiet resentment. Learning the difference is not about becoming less kind. It is about becoming whole. Reclaiming your emotional voice. Reclaiming your emotional voice begins with recognition. Recognition that your understanding has a cost, that your calm did not come for free. You are allowed to feel tired without justifying it. You are allowed to say no without explaining it perfectly. You are allowed to express discomfort even if it makes others uncomfortable. Emotional expression does not need to be polished to be valid. For people who are always understanding, speaking up can feel unnatural at first. Your nervous system is used to the restraint, but slowly expression becomes regulation. Each time you honor your emotions instead of suppressing them, you rebuild trust in yourself. Your kindness does not disappear when you protect yourself. It becomes sustainable. A voice that is never used grows quiet. A voice that is reclaimed brings relief. Choosing balance over constant understanding. Balance is not about swinging to the opposite extreme. It is not about becoming cold or detached. It is about discernment, knowing when to listen and when to speak, when to empathize and when to set limits. Constant understanding often comes from fear of conflict or loss. Balance comes from self-respect. Understanding should not mean tolerating harm or minimizing yourself. It should not require you to disappear emotionally. Balance restores your sense of agency. It allows connection without self-abandonment. It creates relationships where understanding flows both ways. This is not selfishness. This is emotional maturity in its healthiest form, the strength no one sees. If you are someone who is always understanding, there is a strength in you that often goes unseen. Your patience is not endless. Your calm is not emptiness. Your kindness does not mean you are unbreakable. You learn to be strong in ways that kept others comfortable, even when it cost you. You are allowed to choose yourself without explaining. You are allowed to rest without earning it. Understanding others is powerful, but understanding yourself is essential. When you finally give yourself the same compassion you give everyone else, something shifts. You do not lose connection. You gain presence, and that is where real healing begins. If this video felt like it was speaking directly to you, take that as a sign that you are not alone in this experience. Your emotions matter, even the quiet ones. If this message helped you feel seen or understood, please like the video so it can reach others who need it too. Share it with someone who is always strong for everyone else. And if you want more honest conversations about emotional health, self-respect, and inner healing, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. Let me know in the comments if you relate to this. I read everyone.